What's going on, everyone? So, Jimmy Butler wants the Phoenix Suns apparently badly, right? New reports came out that, hey, that's the destination that he prefers to play at. That's the destination he wants to go to, wants to kind of have Miami work out a way to get to. Kevin Durant supposedly really wants Jimmy Butler on the Phoenix Suns. Supposedly, Matt Ishbia has a 2-year max extension in line for Jimmy Butler. I think it's 2 years, $125 million for Jimmy Butler. And then also Kevin Durant, if they land Jimmy Butler, if they end up getting Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant is expected to sign an extension as well. So essentially, if you want to keep Kevin Durant, you got to go get Jimmy Butler, because Kevin Durant in the offseason could force his way out. Now, he's not a free agent, but he'd be on the final year of his deal. So if he wanted to, he could be like, hey, look, I'm 37, right? Like, I want to win. I want to go win somewhere. And you're not going to be able to get rid of Bradley Beal, right? So trade me, right? Get me out of here. And that's the place he wanted to go, which I think would be kind of ironic. So a couple things. One, Kevin Durant wanted to go to Phoenix, right? Ends up going to Phoenix. Two, Kevin Durant was the one that wanted Bradley Beal, right? Kevin Durant was the one that campaigned and rallied for Bradley Beal. Now he's doing the same thing for Jimmy Butler. Now, obviously, I think Jimmy Butler would make more sense than Bradley Beal would, but still, like, I just think it's ironic, right? It's like they're probably in the position that they're in because of Kevin Durant, or to an extent because of Kevin Durant. I think a lot of it is new owner syndrome, right? Got Matt Ishbia, just got the new ownership. He's feeling himself. He wants to make a big splash. But I think that's very interesting. Here's the problem. How do they go and get Jimmy Butler? Because supposedly Miami has no interest in acquiring Bradley Beal. Supposedly, the Phoenix Suns, they, like, Bradley Beal doesn't necessarily even want to go to Miami, that he doesn't necessarily, like, he's not, like, he has like 3 teams he's interested in, but right, one of those teams were listed as Miami, but supposedly, like, I think it's because they don't want to be there. Although Bradley Beal himself said that they haven't had any conversations or any discussions about that or anything. So, I don't know. It's all over the place. The reporting's all over the place. Like, one day it's this, the next day it's this, the next day it's this, the next day it's this. At the end of the day, like I've said, I don't think Jimmy Butler gets traded. Miami is expected to be patient. They're not going to rush a Jimmy Butler trade. But they might not have a choice, right? Like, they don't want to just, like, give Jimmy Butler away. They don't want to take on a bunch of bad contracts and salary. They might as well just let him walk in the offseason rather than take on a bunch of bad contracts. So that's where the dilemma lies, right? Like, the Memphis Grizzlies made a ton of sense for Jimmy Butler, but supposedly Jimmy Butler doesn't want to go to Memphis. And supposedly Memphis and Miami were, working towards a deal. And it was kind of be like Brandon Clark and Marcus Smart were like the 2 guys supposedly that Miami wanted in that type of deal to kind of help them compete now in sort of a win now package. But like, again, it's like, well, he doesn't want to go there. I thought, though, Jimmy Butler, he didn't care. I thought he was willing to go to any team as long as it's not Miami. But what did I say? As soon as those teams that he really doesn't want to go to start calling, all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? You're right. I don't want to go there. Like, it's like Zach LaVine last year. Like, Zach LaVine wanted to be traded. Both sides were done. Zach LaVine was open to go into several teams, and then Detroit calls, right? He didn't say, like Jimmy said, he'd basically go anywhere but, Miami. Zach LaVine didn't say he'd go anywhere, but he was open to being traded, right? There wasn't like I will only go to the Lakers or I'll only go to Miami or something like that. He was pretty open, and then Detroit comes calling, and he's like, oh, guess I got to have surgery, right? Like, it's always funny to hear those kinds of things. But look, I think ultimately you're probably looking at Bradley Beal stuck in Phoenix, because Phoenix has no say. Like, Miami at least has some control, not a ton, but some control. Like, Phoenix has 0 control. Bradley Beal holds all the cards. I mean, he said it himself. Right, because him and LeBron James are the only 2 guys that have no trade clauses. And Bradley Beal has never been one of those guys that warrant a no trade clause. I don't know why the Wizards ever gave him a no trade clause, but they did. And now Phoenix is paying for it. Also, any team that gets Bradley Beal would also be tied to that no trade clause. So if it doesn't work, you have no way to get out and recoup assets or anything. You'd literally be stuck with Bradley Beal. And he's making like $60 million when his contract's done. He's making $50 million this year. It's just like, it's an absolute mess. And whether you're, Miami or you're Phoenix, I mean, for Phoenix, it makes all the sense in the world. And I do think that there is sense for both sides to just do a Bradley Beal for, Jimmy Butler swap, right? Because again, Bradley Beal healthy, that's the problem, healthy. But Jimmy Butler can't stay healthy, right? But Bradley Beal healthy is probably the best return you would get for Jimmy Butler. Bradley Beal probably goes back to being a 35-5 guy, but here's the problem. Now you have that redundancy with him and Tyler Hero. All right, so you probably have to trade Tyler Hero at that point. If you're Miami, the last thing you want to do is probably trade Tyler Hero, right? His age, how good he's been for Miami this year, right? Like he's been balling out for Miami this year. So, I mean, ideally you'd want to keep Tyler Hero, but if you get Bradley Beal, you now have this redundancy. However, I do think you'd get a nice return for a Tyler Hero. Right? So you might be able to get another piece or two or a couple pieces to really kind of flush out and round out this roster if you're Miami. Bradley Beal, like I said, probably gets back to being a 35-5 guy or a 25-5 guy at worst, right? And him and Bam Adebayo make a ton of sense. Him and Bam Adebayo as like your two men, your big little, right, that you can kind of have the foundation for, and then you got kind of your other guys to chip in. I mean, you could do worse, right? For Phoenix, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Jimmy Butler now is the leader. He brings that toughness, that effort, right? Maybe not so much in the regular season, but especially come playoff time, right? Like, he just fits better, more natural fit. Like, he gives that team a ton of what it needs. Still worry about kind of the rest of the roster, but I do think that they'd be much better. Like, I think their likelihood of winning a championship exponentially gets better, right? Like, genuinely. I think that they, legit now could be tough. Problem is, they might, by the time this trade gets done, they might be so far behind the 8 ball that it might be too late. By that point, you might be cooked, right? So I don't know if you're going to be able to get what you need or quick enough, right? Like, what can you incentivize Miami, right? You giving, Bradley Beal in a first? I don't even, does Phoenix even have any picks left? Right? Phoenix is tapped out. Right? So, I don't know how Phoenix or why Phoenix want to do it. If you're Miami, you have no urgency to trade. You're in no position to have to, you don't care. Jimmy Butler, come back, right? Figure it out. We'll work it out together, right? I mean, Miami's supposedly expected to kind of prepare for a future with Jimmy Butler, which is crazy because they've been, again, this has just been all over the place. One day they're keeping him, next day they're trading him, next day they got to figure out how to make it work, next day they're sending him to Phoenix. Right? It's so which is it? What path are we walking here? Which direction are we going here? Right? But at the end of the day, I think ultimately, I think Jimmy Butler probably finishes this year in Miami. I don't think that they're going to be able to get the assets and pieces that they want in return, and I don't think it makes sense for them to just take on bad contracts and put themselves in a bad situation. Right out the season, you could do the same thing in the offseason. Jimmy Butler's probably not leaving that $50 million. No other teams can sign him to that. The only team that has money is the Brooklyn Nets in the offseason, and they don't make why would they sign Jimmy Butler? It makes no sense. Right? So Jimmy Butler's probably stuck. Right? And then worst case scenario, any team that he does want to go to, probably working out a sign and trade in the offseason. Right? So if you're them, you're being patient. You're kind of waiting it out. Right? And who knows, right? Maybe in the offseason, maybe one of these other guys become available. And it's just hey, we'll take Jimmy, and because our guy wants out, you want to do a swap, and it might work into Miami's favor is the point, is what I'm getting at. But I don't see a path to this getting resolved, at least with Phoenix, right? Grizzlies made a ton of sense, but Jimmy doesn't want to go to the Grizzlies, right? Is Jimmy trying to force his way, trying to push a little bit to get to Phoenix? But even then, it's Pat Riley's stubborn enough. He's not going to just cave to Jimmy's demands, And he'll just be like, hey, sit out this year, right? Or whatever, right? And then they're going to have this whole dispute. It's getting ugly, though, right? It's bad. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? I feel, what are your thoughts? Do you think he ends up forcing his way to Phoenix? Do you think absolutely not? No way. How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.